Drama.
Alive.
Drama. I'm just gonna say
This is
drama.
Wednesday, May 22nd. This is what's happening in the world of sports, gastronomy, music. I wanted to get your opinion on this, my friend. Apple Music released their list of the top 100 albums of all time. Did you catch this? You want
No.
to potentially guess what the number one album was? I'll give you
Yeah.
five guesses.
Can you give me a hint? Give me a genre.
Uh,
Or is that too much of a hint?
I don't think so, but I also don't know how to like genre tag this album. But maybe call it R&B or rap
The number one album, R&B.
or rap. Maybe a better or hip hop. We'll go with hip hop.
All right. Kanye, is it Kanye West album?
No.
Okay. Rest in peace, Kanye. You're not the same Kanye, but I do love myself some Kanye West, like College Dropout. Um,
Yeah,
Such a good album.
I'm
Okay.
with you. I'm with you.
Um, did this person perform at a Super Bowl halftime show?
Not in my, I don't think so. Maybe I'm not remembering it, but
Okay.
I think I know where you're going. And yeah, it's not them.
Is it John Legend?
No.
Is it a John Legend album? Ooh, Michael Jackson.
Which one?
Okay. Can I just look at the rep? Is it okay if I look at the repertoire of albums so I can pick one
Well,
from?
before you go into this, his album was number two, um, not
Oh, so
number
he's
one.
not number one.
No, no. But I
Was
wanted
his
to see
number
if you
two
would.
Thriller? Was it Thriller or Off the Wall?
It was Thriller, number two.
Thriller. All right. So not Michael Jackson, but still R&B and hip hop?
Yeah, 90s. I'll narrow it down to a decade for you.
I mean, the only thing that keeps popping in my head, but I honestly could not believe it. Wouldn't
Hmm.
believe it. I wouldn't want to believe it. Is it R. Kelly?
No, you heard me say it's Apple Music, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Before, yeah, I feel like I'm building up all these expectations, but I think if we look at the list, there are some picks in the top five that you would disagree with, and I think they made this list to have conversation starters like this to debate. It's like clickbait almost, but I still think it's interesting because it has Apple News name behind it. You want to give it one more guess before I reveal?
No, because I'm looking at it. It's cheating.
Oh,
Under best albums. Let me see here.
we're gonna see your reaction in real time, maybe,
Yeah, you're gonna see it real time. I'm going through the list here.
possibly.
Going 60. I'm at 50. It's a nice interface here for Apple. You haven't gone on 100best.music.apple.com, folks. The Chronics in the top 20. Blueprint, Jay-Z. Kendrick Lamar making top 10. I feel like there's some bias, some modern
I
day.
saw that. I think obviously this is all done in hindsight, right? Whenever that album is released, it's not like this is top album of all time. But then it like gets all these awards and people are like, it has that, awards bias to it. Did you get the number
Whoa.
one?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't hate it, but so
I'm a big
crazy.
fan. It's still, it's, it was so good that she only had to make one.
The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That's it. Man, so crazy. Lauryn Hill. But that was, I mean, yeah. Killing me softly with his words.
Isn't
But
that, but that's Fuji's though, right? That was when that was on her Fuji's album.
no, it's in that album.
Is it?
Damn, bro. Now you're making me check.
I will eat my words if it's in it for sure. Um,
Oh, you know what? It wasn't in that album. It was in Dinner with My Darling. So you're right. You're right. Kill Me Softly with this song. Fugees, you're right. This was a solo album.
98% of users like this album, according to Google.
Crazy.
It's a
Crazy.
neo soul and R&B album
Good for you.
based in hip hop, soul, and reggae. All right. I think I got like 3 of the 5
Yeah.
tag. It's hard to genre by something
I
like
wonder, it should
this
be
education.
Michael Jackson though. If he wouldn't, I
Why?
think if he didn't have the scandal, it like, I mean, I still the greatest artist right now, right? Of all time. Again, without the scandal, there's just no doubt. Like, I mean, there's just banger after banger is Michael Jackson. Like, if he didn't have
Yeah.
shoes, if he didn't turn white, he stayed black, it would have been Michael
Yeah.
Jackson, you know?
And there's also like how much do you preference an album being best selling versus award winning slash like really artistically
Yeah.
interesting. And Michael Jackson's a great performer,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and that's a huge part of it. And so I wonder what the standards were for picking this list. It didn't seem like there are any sort of like
Yeah. But you know
standard.
what? It'd definitely be a conversation starter because I know Beatles at number 3 will have some people like, oh my God, no, the Beatles should be up number 1, just because of their influence. Hot take for me personally, because every culture, every people, every person is different and what they grew up listening to. The Beatles to me, they just never did it. I get that there's some good songs. I think their music is
Mhm.
good, but maybe it's because I wasn't born in that time. But I also have family that was born in that time that just that wasn't what they're listening to. So I know there's probably a cultural shift there as well, cultural element that makes me not as nostalgic for the Beatles as some others are.
Absolutely.
Michael
It's
Jackson.
also a lot of history in the love of the Beatles that I don't know how you can like get away from John Lennon being assassinated.
Mhm.
You can get
Yeah,
away from the 60s and
yeah,
the,
Yellow Submarine,
the culture of
psychedelic.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but certain albums or certain artists don't need that historical, or maybe I should say, don't have the benefit of that like historical association, right? And
Mhm.
so the Beatles, maybe we're just like we're just conditioned to always think that they're the best at everything. When I agree with you. If I, like the debate is often like Rolling Stones versus the Beatles. I always pick the Rolling Stones to listen to.
Yeah, yeah. As far as what I'm listening to, I'd choose Dave Matthews Band. That's just me. I love
I
Dave.
didn't know that those were held
Compare.
in the same regard. No, I'm not too fan, but
DMD.
I'm with you there. Like I agree. It's just almost like some would say comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk sports. You derailed us here, Nick. Now we're a couple minutes in, and we talked about Lauryn Hill, Michael Jackson, and the Beatles. But it's playoff time. We got conference finals in the NBA, conference finals in the Chel. What are you seeing? What's some of your thoughts here? Which one do you want to tackle first? The NBA, the Chel?
Oof. Well, I got to give it up to Jalen Brown for just sinking. It was Ray Allen-esque for the Heat
Mhm.
against
Yeah.
the shoot. Was it against the Mavericks or the Thunder? I can't remember which NBA finals it was. He hits this like fall off and fall on his back corner three to
Was that when he was
tie
with
the
the
game
Heat or with the Celtics?
with the Heat.
Yeah, it was who was it against? Anyway, I know exactly
While we
which.
get our producers to look into this,
Yeah,
just it was like it's going to be an all-time shot last
yeah,
night. So I guess whenever something like that happens, it's increased my hype for the Eastern Conference Finals series. Not that I wasn't already hyped for it, because so glad for the Knicks to be eliminated. Happy for the Pacers being in that game. Um, so yeah, super excited for that series. And then, well, on the other side, did you watch that?
No, let's keep covering. You start with NBA. Let's stick on NBA. Let's stick on
No,
NBA.
I was gonna stick on NBA. But I was gonna switch to the Western Conference
Oh, okay.
just to say, uh, the T Wolves, the Wolves, man. Does Anthony Edward and yes, Ant-Man
Mm.
remind you of Michael Jordan at all?
Hmm. Well, I could see you're on the comparison game today. I think you're spot on with Jaylen Brown and Ray Allen-esque sort of play. I think that's actually a great comparison. But Anthony Edwards, I feel like it's still too soon to say. Still too, and honestly, I have to admit, I haven't watched enough Minnesota Timberwolves games to like analyze his play to be like, yeah, he definitely has that style of just MJ aggression. But
Mm,
there's no doubt that the fact that they're here is in large part to the superstar that he is, right? This is a big moment. But I actually think the narrative here is not so much on the players. I think this is what's happening, right? It's like we want who are those next stars, right? Who is that Ray Allen on the Celtics? Who is that Michael Jordan on the Timberwolves? Kevin Garnett, just to say an actual Timberwolves player that was all time great.
yeah,
Because I think there's a vacuum in the NBA of like a true superstar, especially in these two conference finals, right? You got Luka Doncic, but he's been touted for a while. So, like, I feel like we're witnessing a moment in the NBA that whoever wins the finals kind of could end up having that next crown, right? Of like they're the greatest player right now in the NBA. And there's this opportunity on players on either side. I am a little bit bummed. I was rooting for the Knicks just because that would have been an all-time classic sort of competition, right? Celtics, Knicks for the conference finals because of the two
yeah.
cities not liking each other. Indiana does make it more interesting, just thinking of their culture and their fan base. But ultimately, this is a gut punch for them, right? Like Indiana having the lead, playing well, going into the fourth quarter, having it in hand, and then the Celtics coming back. It's a gut punch for them. So again, like I mentioned before, game two is going to be hyper important for Indiana to come back and take one away.
Yeah.
Just keep sustaining energy. It's going to be interesting to watch. But as far as the Timberwolves and Mavericks game tonight, right? It's Wednesday, so they play
Yeah.
tonight. I don't know, man. I think Anthony Edwards against a competitor like Luka Doncic has an opportunity to solidify like an element of his career, right? By defeating someone of that caliber and the Dallas Mavericks in general. So because you can't forget they have Kyrie, right? It's like we forget that they
Hmm.
have Kyrie Irving, who at any given point in night can take over a game. He still has that capability. So this is a super interesting matchup. But like you said, I think what's good is there's no one is going to the finals like this is all new teams. So someone will
Yeah.
be crowned that hadn't been crowned before.
Well, spare the.
Like player wise,
Yeah.
personnel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I get.
obviously the Celtics have a storied franchise with champions, but they haven't had a championship since the Kevin Garnett,
Big three,
the
right?
big three, Paul Pierce, the truth. They haven't had
Hmm.
one since then. That was like 2008, 2006. Um, and then the rest, Dallas Mavericks, another recent one against the Heat, but with Dirk Nowitzki.
Hmm.
And obviously Minnesota and Indiana, right? An opportunity to, I believe, get their first chip.
Yeah. Yeah. That I'm with you. I'm with you. The excitement of the new crop and where you said there's a vacuum of stardom where I guess we just come to expect like, oh, it's LeBron or it's Steph Curry in the championship game. Do you miss the Heat not being in the Eastern Conference Finals? Would you like this? Would you like it better if the Heat were there, or are you happy as it is?
I judge Heat fans here in Miami.
Oh yeah.
They're
Well, the
very
Magic, the Magic,
Magic, Los Magic.
yeah.
I
Obviously,
mean,
the Magic would have been best for you, but
yeah, they would have been a highlight. But I'm proud of the Magic taking it to 7 games against the Cavs. They're still a young team, so I think just getting that consistent playoff experience is good. I mean, look at what's happening here, right? With the Mavs, they've dabbled in the playoffs and now they're a little bit closer to the promised land. The same thing with the Celtics, now closer to the promised land, and the same thing with the Timberwolves, closer to the promised land. And I think the Paul Siakam trade for Indiana is a game changer. And
yeah,
you can't sleep on Indiana. You can't act like they're a true underdog because people forget Paul Siakam went hard for that chip in Toronto. So he is a championship experience caliber player. So
absolutely.
there's one to highlight and watch out. It's Paul Siakam.
Plus the fact that Celtics are going to be without Porzingis. I think I saw until maybe game 4 of this series. So there's a potential matchup at the big man position, at the center position, advantage toward Indiana. Lights out. I hope that the Knicks series is litmus for this Eastern Conference Finals, where the Knicks jumped on the Pacers early in that series. The Pacers came back, so
Yeah.
it could be very deflating to lose a game in that fashion. But it looks like this is a team that's predicated on. I mean, Rick Carlisle is a great coach. Get the
Yeah.
guys ready for game 2.
Well, that's what's exciting, especially now at this point. I mean, the playoffs consistently with these 7-game series are strategic, right? You have to make changes. I think it's why Eric Spoelstra of the Miami Heat, in my opinion, is one of the greatest coaches of all time in his ability to strategize against his opponent, right? Jimmy Butler I don't doubt, not that you said, like, am I disappointed? I'm not disappointed, but I don't doubt that if they had Jimmy Butler, they'd be in the Eastern Conference Finals because of the quality of Eric Spoelstra's strategy. And so I think there is a point where the Pacers, with a championship experience caliber player like Siakam, with an experienced coach like Carlisle, are going to be able to make long-term adjustments and are going to match up better moving forward, hopefully, right? Because I don't want it to be a sleeper of a series against the Celtics. So super interesting. But the Celtics need this too, right? This has been a core. It's not a young core anymore. This has been their core for a while. They tanked for a while for this core. Like this is it, right? If Jason Tatum has never been closer. Like, this is against an opponent I think they can safely feel confident in beating. Whereas I think the Heat with Jimmy Butler would have been dangerous, just culture-wise, like just hardcore mentality-wise. I think if the Celtics, this is big for the Celtics. This is nice for the Pacers, but I think this is necessity for the Celtics to win.
So are you saying like the Celtics, they already played the Heat earlier without Jimmy Butler in round 1. But it sounds like they have a mental thing about going up against the Heat and Jimmy Butler, that should they have met them in the conference finals, you would think they would have their doubts. So I'm hearing that. I think I agree. I think that they see this as like their chance to throw the boogeyman back under the bed.
Rest in peace, Kobe. But Kobe and Michael Jordan had this anger, right? This like scary like mentality, right? This hunger that you have to admit, really just it's rare to find in a player. So that's why I'm not willing to admit Anthony Edwards is MJS until I see that anger and that fire and his ability to scare people. Jimmy
Mhm.
Butler scares people, right? No one on the Celtics scares anybody, right?
Yeah,
They used to. Think about it, when they had a dynasty, when they were going consistently against the Lakers and other teams, they were a scary team. People were scared of them, right? Like
absolutely.
they were scared. They had legends, right? Of the
Garnett,
Leprechaun,
Paul
yeah,
Pierce,
of the
those.
arena,
Yeah,
yeah. It was even before that, they were a scary
yeah,
team. It's a good element to have. I don't think any four of these teams in the conference finals have that same amount of fear factor. Like they can instill fear, just like the Warriors with Kevin Durant. Like that's a scary combo. Like you just feel like you lost already. They're not
Mm.
scary people, but that dynamic is scary. You know?
Yeah. No, I think it's a little different though from the MJ and Kobe comparison, but they had like underdog mentality, that chip on their shoulder that motivated them to take over a game. I don't
Yeah,
even know that LeBron has that. In fact, I'll say right now, like he doesn't have, from what I can tell, the need for an underdog mentality to reach that next level. Maybe because
hmm
he is so great and so physically gifted that he is that next level
hmm
always.
yeah.
So
That's true. That's what's so
you do
unfair about the comparison between LeBron and MJ. They're two different people, two different types of players.
absolutely. Yeah. The the public though, I think really likes having that sort of unique individual talent in a finals to drive
Mm,
watching the game. So um the true neutral fan here, I think basketball fans will enjoy, but it is to, drill home once more on your point. It is missing. I don't see Doncic having that sort of fire, that underdog mentality driving driving his play in a way that could, you might tune in and see something
yeah,
absolutely extraordinary player taking over a game. I don't know. I don't think that happens here.
yeah. I don't think so either. I think there'll be some unsung heroes, and we'll see who else kind of gets recognized as the series progress. But yeah, we'll see who emerges. It'll be interesting if it is Paul Siakam, with that
Mhm.
championship experience. But let's go right to it. The Chel,
Shell time.
Los Gatos, Los Gatos playing tonight against the Rangers from Nueva York. I love now. It's been 2 years in a row that a Florida team, it's hot as hell down here right now, Nick. Like, I mean, like levels of hell hot. Like it is like it feels like 110 with humidity up to like 100. Like it's nasty, And that one of our teams here in Florida, with no Florida players, no locally grown players, is in the conference playoffs for Stanley Cup again, against a more established historic franchise like the Rangers. Um, and man, I'm here for it. I'm
Love
here
to see
to.
it. Love to
I
see it.
love, yeah, love to see
You're
it.
a true
Tampa Bay
gamer.
Lightning, Bruins, now the Rangers. Bring it on.
Bring it on. You're a true gamer for wearing that sweatshirt then on the pod
It's
today.
so hot. It's
Yeah.
so hot.
Well, you probably
So
got
hot.
your AC blasting, right?
Oh
That's
yeah,
right.
I blast. I put it down to 70 degrees just to be like, if I'm wearing this, it's got to
Hell
be.
yeah, brother.
It's it's got to be cold. And then
Absolutely.
I'll take it up just because the energy bill will be high.
I know, I know. Pick and choose. But yeah, I'm excited to see the Panthers. Have they been to the I should know this. Have they been to the conference finals before?
Yes, yeah. This will be the third time in their
Okay.
franchise, I believe. Obviously, they were there last year,
Mm-hmm.
and then made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. And I believe their
Gotcha.
franchise year, since they do the draft where you're able to grab some high quality players from other teams, so that there's some
Another
parity
expansion. Yeah.
with new expansion teams. And because they were able to grab some players, they had a really good team their first year as well. So yeah, this is awesome. You know, I live in Broward County, so Sunrise is like a 20-minute drive there, the Amerant Bank Arena. It's a really nice place to just watch a game. I like it because it's not in a city, right? It's more open. It's in the burbs, so it feels more like a local team than any of the other Miami teams that we have. And Barkov, man, the way they play, bro. Two favorite players, Barkov and Reinhardt. Easy to say, but they're just, I mean, Barkov,
Mhm.
Barkov is all about, you know, I mean, he won the award for defense, best defensive
Best
forward.
defensive forward. Yeah.
Um, the dude's just a beast, man. I'm so, he was great from the beginning, but like to elevate to this consistency is legendary. Like it just, I mean, from you know, from was it because they call each line, right, the first line, the second line, right, of as you rotate through a game in hockey, um from 1 to 4, they're just the Panthers are great. You gotta have your A game against them. So and then you can't forget Bobby in the back when you need it the most. He's not going to have zero goals. They're going to get sneak one in, but
Mhm.
when you need to save when the game's on the line, it's hard to beat out Bobby. So
Yeah. There's like a goaltender that maybe is like Shesterkin on the Rangers side, seems to block everything. Whereas there's also a goalie that just makes the ridiculous save and motivates the team, sparks the offense in that way. I guess there's a goaltender reliance where you can
mhm.
like feel like you can rest and think, okay, Igor's got this. I don't know if I'm even on the right track here with how the Rangers actually think about their approach to play. Just from what I've seen, um, let up some breakaways here and there. Um, so it could kind of allow the team to relax a bit and play more freely because you know the goalie's got it. Or then the other way, like your goalie could maybe let in a few, but make just ridiculous saves and motivate the team to really break down the doors and go all out. So it could be two different kinds of goaltenders, both very good.
Yeah, this is exciting for the Chell, and I maybe am biased because I have a team with skin in the game, so it's very exciting
Mhm.
to sort of watch it and for them to be at this level. But even on the other side in the Western Conference, you know, you have the Dallas Stars in Edmonton, Edmonton, how do I say Edmonton Oilers. Lord
You
have
got
mercy. You got a
you got it.
Canadian team in the rink, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, uh, the path for each of these teams on the Western Conference side, maybe the West is just like played a little bit tighter, a little bit more parity there. It seems like each of these teams has had a harder go of it. Whereas round one, Rangers took out the Capitals fairly easily. Same goes with the Panthers and the Lightning. Rangers got up like 3-0 on the Hurricanes and then let them kind of eke their way back in the series. The Bruins Panthers series was, I would say, hard fought as well. But my point is here, the West, like these two teams really had to go through the gauntlet to reach one another.
Son of a bee, the Capitals made the playoffs this year, huh?
Unfortunately. But then
That's
we saw
crazy.
them,
Yeah,
so we can say
we
we
saw them this year and they were awful.
saw a playoff
I
series.
forgot that the
I think
Capitals made the this year.
the Penguins they finished on the outside looking in, but if there were like two more games in the season, they would have made the playoffs, and I think they would have put up a little bit more of an interesting battle against the Rangers. That's just my 2 cents, or it could have been the Islanders as well. Though I'm not neutral in these things, and would have liked to have seen the Penguins and Sidney Crosby get another crack at the playoffs. Which I don't know if we'll ever see again. But I guess the Capitals fans can say the same thing about Ovechkin. Like they got to see him in the playoffs. He didn't, I don't know, do all that much, but I guess it's definitely a changing time in the Chel. Those
In the
players'
Chel.
names that you recognize are just kind of the new crop is coming in, and there's some amazing
Well,
players. So,
yeah, I mean Robertson's the real deal. If you have it, if you've been like, you got to know who Robertson is from the Dallas Stars, and
yeah,
Connor McDavid,
those are the exact two guys I would say too.
like it just. I mean, there are some studs in this Chel playoffs. I can't think of who's the star player on the Rangers. Who's like the top guy?
Zibanejad or Trocheck. They got Reeves in defense, who's crazy good defenseman. So
They got Panarin was the top point scorer. Panarin.
Artemi Panarin, yeah, always a dangerous player as well. So yeah, I think what's interesting in the East is that you had the two number one seeded teams, so the teams that were consistently good throughout the course of the year are facing off against one another.
Yeah, I love it. All right, well, that kind of takes care of the playoffs, but there's one more topic I wanted to touch base before we leave our audience today. Let's talk about, I got to bring it up, Caitlin Clark, WNBA.
Yeah, man.
What's happening?
You know, I watched the first game, I think like so many people did, and had huge expectations. And while her play probably didn't match everyone's expectations from the way that she played in college, I think it's important to recognize like she is a rookie in a new situation in a league that she's never played for and with a team that she's not played with. So I think I don't get on Twitter much to see the responses, and I could just imagine what some of the haters are saying on Twitter about her play in the first couple of games. But she's obviously incredible, so she'll get it back to our really high expectations in no time. It's just but it's really good to be seeing all of the WNBA games on ABC, ESPN.
Yeah.
No, have it be more of a thing, not just the Caitlin Clark games, you know?
Yeah. You know, the thing is, though, the human, like, we want greatness. And so part of the excitement of the WNBA this season is the success of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark being winless to start the WNBA season might be fun for the haters. It might be fun for her opponents, but ultimately is not good for the WNBA, right? They are losing viewership. They're not going to match that viewership from the first game. But hypothetically, had she gone electric and gotten a dub and gotten a next dub and gotten a next dub, people would have been paying attention and be like, she's ascended. She's here. She's the real deal. All that fan base would have come with her. What I'm worried about is teams see that as players do their competitors, they think they're better than Caitlin Clark. That is the point of sports, right? Like we have athletes that do that. My fear is that ultimately it's the demise of the WNBA's moment in the sun to not capitalize on that success, right? To not capitalize. And that gets a lot of pressure. And ultimately, the reality is like you get the first draft pick, it means you're the crappiest team, you know, or one of the crappy teams. So you can't expect one of the worst teams in that WNBA that had gotten that first draft pick to suddenly change course and be a better team than they were before, just by adding one player. But that's the expectations that Caitlin Clark came in with. just like Zion Williamson, just like, you know, some of the players who didn't mount up to that sort of high expectation from before. Anthony Bennett, for one,
Mhm.
a bad pick from the. But man, I have to admit that I'm worried. Like people are starting to lose interest, and eventually it's going to subside. Like if this year can't turn into something, you know, and people be like, "Oh crap, she made the playoffs. Like she's good." I think ultimately it's, you know, like I'd love to say no, we're all in. Like everyone's just fully interested in the success. Like Angel Reese breaking records. I told you, had they been able to match up, they would have
Mhm.
been getting W's. Leading on offensive rebounds, breaking a record in offensive rebounds, 12 offensive ribbies. Like you just can't underestimate the importance of that dynamic for your team. That's why her team's winning, you know? And there's not that sort of talent on the Fever besides the scoring of Caitlin Clark. So super interesting, my man. I just think she needs to start winning, or we're gonna lose the light, my friend. We're gonna lose the sparkle, and people are gonna stop watching.
Yeah. Yeah. You may be right. I don't know that we're at a place where it's like she's such a big time deal where it's like LeBron. I would, um, you know, I liked LeBron when he was on the Cavs. He moved to the Lakers or whenever he was on the Heat. I would tune in to root against him. I don't think
Yeah.
people feel that way about Caitlin Clark, where you tune in to see her lose. Um, Maybe like some people do.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't think I
against
think
LeBron.
most people want to see her win. You're
Most people
right.
want to see her do really well. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can't give it's sports. There's no
Hmm.
unlike what people say about the NFL. It really isn't a script that they have to follow
It,
to make sure that she wins. So
it's what's beautiful, and this is why I mentioned WWE is because like ultimately that's what's exciting is like you give the people what they want, so you watch it because you're getting what you want. But what's
mhm.
heartbreaking, partially addictive, but what's heartbreaking about sports is most of the time you don't get what you want. You know, you don't get the Cinderella endings, but it makes the moments of getting those Cinderella endings so much more. And I think what I hope, kind of turning full circle back to the NBA playoffs, because seeing the parity is amazing, right? Seeing teams that haven't made it before, like recently with their core players, haven't gotten to this point with their core players, um, is that we're creating more of those fantastic moments, right? Those memorable moments of like my team won it all against all odds, not one of the legacy team, but like they finally won it. I always think that one of the bad things about this big three era and why I'm loving to see its demise, really, with the Phoenix Suns, with the Golden State Warriors, with the LA Lakers, with the LA Clippers, this shit's over, in my opinion. Like it's done. This idea of the big three era, you need consistency. It's been the code has been cracked, right? It's been cracked
Yeah,
on how to beat these teams. And what I love to see is the moments. Like I think what's lost is that one championship by Dirk Nowitzki just means more. That
the victory
and
over the Heat against their
yeah,
big three. Yeah,
yeah. And that's why I know if I were to ask LeBron, I don't know, but I have a feeling that if I were to ask LeBron, that championship with the Cavs, just his reaction was enough,
hmm
means more. And so this idea of like we're not all going to be Tom Brady's. There's something about it meaning more, you know, that is what makes sports great. And so I feel like we're getting back to that.
I love it. I love that style and the the fact that the big three, the gathering of talent, can still lose obviously brings a lot of watching interest into the games, which is
It's
great.
exciting. It's exciting. It's an exciting time. I hope you're going to be watching tonight. I know I'll be watching. We'll have to text each other
Hmm.
and see what happens.
That's right. Oh yeah, brother.
All right. Well, happy Wednesday, happy hump day to our 25 listeners. I'm just gonna of it. It's probably two. But always a pleasure talking to you, Nick.
Get out there, folks. Enjoy the Memorial Day long weekend.
Ooh, yeah.